Thanks for joining, Adam. Thanks for being here.
Shakpachwai, thank you. Inknash Waniksha Kwasis Achash. English name is Adam Strom, and Indian name was given to me by an elder, but he told me I can't call him an elder. He said I have to call him a bro, but I told him in our Yakima ways he's an elder because he gets two per capita. He's over 55. But he said, no, you got that wrong. She gets three and I get one. So anyway, he told me my name was Keen Vision. Wasis Achash. It meant eagle vision, eagle eye, keen vision. So I'm excited. But as I shared in my email, humbled and grateful for this opportunity, Dominique, that you and your staff are providing me.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity as well for us here to be interviewing you. And when we were previously talking, you were actually at Battle of the Nations. How did that go?
Well, I made it home, so that's good. I think I had my 2 minutes of fame on the basketball court, but more importantly, how'd it go? Excellent. Shout out to Jerry Ford and his efforts. It was to witness it firsthand is I think the fifth annual is something I encourage platforms like yourself and your guys's. It needs to be shared throughout Indian country. Battle of the Nations. Respectfully, I was a player coach for a young Yakima team that I thought represented Yakima extremely well. And my sons played for the neighboring Quinault Reservation. And I thought it was a first entrance for them, the Quinault tribe. And that was, a pleasant experience and a welcome experience for my late father, Ted Strom, as a Quinault tribal member.
Wow, really cool. I mean, I got to see a bunch of my cousins actually went down there and they were
Yeah.
excited to be there. And I always like just, I was always hearing their stories and stuff like that. So really cool. But one thing I wanted to touch on was question one, your coaching philosophy involves a lot of positivity and personal growth. How do you cultivate this mindset within your team, especially during challenging moments?
So it's interesting you use the term mindset because there's growth mindset, there's fixed mindset, and I think there's Native American mindset. And with Native American mindset, I respectfully talk about historical trauma. So I know placing positivity at the forefront of coaching is extremely important with the demographics I serve in, which is 100% Native American. I mean, statistics show, communities show, society shows that we should be a failure, in education, in life, in health, and so letting them know that they're in the right place, they're in good hands, is extremely important. And they I'm not gonna deny it. Not all players will agree that it's a positive environment, it's a positive because that takes time. I mean, I'm in my third year, entering my fourth year, pending a contract negotiation, and yeah, building positive culture takes time. But I think with time comes commitment and dedication, and those are two things that I apply to my life and to any profession, whether that be education or coaching, is Adam Strom's not going to be an excellent coach in everybody's eyes, but he's going to be the most committed and most dedicated to the respective program and to women's basketball and Native American education. So those things help me relay positivity throughout the team, if that helps, Dominic.
Yeah, of course. And so far at Haskell, for people who don't know, you are the head coach of the Haskell Nation or Haskell, University, I should say. Um, what is a big takeaway you had for the girls this season?
So I'll help you out, Dominic. Haskell Indian Nations
And there
University.
we go.
It's a mouthful. Trust me, we
Yeah.
have to, everywhere we go, we say HU, but everybody thinks we're Harvard University, so we have to say HINU. But Haskell is a outstanding collegiate atmosphere for young Native Americans. Lately, we've had some hardship on campus, as you guys may be aware, in our
Mhm.
community, and heartfelt prayers to those that were involved with that and families. But as far as how to go at Haskell, um, I'm going to get on a few topics because I think it's important that this question is answered with transparency. There's a few things that drive Coach Strom's thinking. One is learn to unlearn. I think that's important that we learn to unlearn. Another is if it's not broke, break it and fix it again.
Mm,
And one other thing that kind of drives me is, would you rather be, built by critics or ruined by praise? And sometimes I'm my biggest critic, and I really feel things went well collectively at Haskell this for our season, but I thought we underperformed. I thought we had the talent to go further. And so, ending the last game and not qualifying for the national tournament for a third consecutive year was a setback. And it was a
mm.
setback that my assistant coach said, "Man, you took like 12 hours to call and talk to me and say, what do we have to do next year to be in the right position?" And underperforming obviously lies on my shoulders. But with that being stated, coaching is a profession. I can't do what Dominick Joseph does, on air. I can't do your job. I mean, you speak freely, you handle yourself well, your voice sounds right. Mine probably sounds like 0.25 speed playback or something, but everything and coaching is the same way. It's a difficult thing and it's a profession. And coaching talent is extremely difficult. Imagine you just went to Layla's Ford dealership and bought yourself a 2024 Ford Mach Mustang with all the bells and whistles. You're not going to run that thing, down the country roads or the dirt roads. Sorry, I don't think you guys have country over there, but the dirt roads and the potholes. And I'm going to parallel this to talent level. I think I had the talent of a 2024, Ford Mach, but to coach that talent, it's the same way you drive your classic car, your nice car, is you don't, rev the engine, you don't put it up and down, you don't. And so, coaching a talented team takes talent, if that makes sense, a lot of talent work. And I thought, that was difficult on my behalf this year. The years past, I don't think we were as talented. And it was like driving that, 2015 Honda of mine with 250,000 miles. I knew that could go anywhere and I was confident and just so the answer to that is we had a talented team that I thought underperformed, and it was not an inability. I mean, it was just difficult to coach that much talent because Dominic well enough. You've grown up around basketball. You could only put 5 players on the floor at one time and one basketball for those 5 players, and respectively I had 15 players that deserved to be on the floor.
Wow, and that's always the biggest problem, I feel like, and people vying for time. And I think the thing that stood out to me most is what you just said is, we've always heard the if it isn't broken, don't fix it. And I
Yeah.
like how you said that break it again and fix it because maybe you can
Mhm.
learn along the way.
Exactly.
And, especially in something like coaching with ownership too, um, you know, it's the most extreme ownership you could have is being the coach, and
Mm.
because you are putting your faith and your trust in these players to execute at that level. And do you see from the level from jumping from high school to college, what is like the biggest difference you see in the players moving forward, like now in your game?
So again, Dominic, you're hearing the right things, and again, your craft is something that my late father had kind of talked to me about in coaching, and you talked is always be a student of the game, be an ongoing learner, never be that coach that you know everything. So that's my mentality. If it's not broke, break it and fix it again, meaning be an ongoing learner, take up, new ideas, new offenses, new defenses, and be ready, throughout your coaching, profession to resort to those things. But as far as, your question about transitioning from high school to college, I would like to throw not only high school to college, but high school to JUCO to 4 year and small school, and we'll talk genders, small school female to large school male. So I would say that I could use a blanket answer and say coaching is coaching, but that's not the truth. Coaching in certain areas, coaching on reservations, coaching in public institutions, coaching inner city, coaching, small school, big school. But the significant difference in high school, college is the speed of the game, the
Mm,
speed and strength of the game. So what you could do in high school might not transfer over to what you could do in college. So in college, I would say athletes got to be, everybody, back home, you got to be able to dribble, shoot, pass, defend, rebound. And it's almost misleading because in college, you have to be very good, extremely good at one thing. You have to be able to do other things on the court, but you have to be a specialist. I might need a shooter because we're playing against a zone team. So that shooter is going to be on the floor. I might need a big because we're playing against smaller that rebounds. Okay, well then I might need a big that scores. Now, respectively, if you have players that could do all the above, then you're at University of Washington, you're at, Kentucky, you're at Iowa, you're, UConn. But when you're in these smaller schools, you have to find everybody's talent, maximize their talent, and get the most out of their ability. And I just had, interesting topic with discussion with a former grandparent of a player. He called me out of the blue and he's like, you got the most bang for your buck. And I think that's what it's about is at the college level is taking everybody's best, whether that's ball handling, passing, shooting, and applying it to the team concept.
mm. Yeah, wow. I like what you said there about, you could have everything, but applying it to the certain zones or certain things is definitely the key of the game, I'm sure.
Mm.
And off the court, I'm sure in college you struggle or not struggle, I should say. You handle people with academic problems and also successes. How does that balance on and off the court with as being a coach?
I'd just like to preface that Dominic and I, this is our first encounter, but your
Yeah.
questions that you are asking and the things that you're inquiring are spot on. Two things with that. One, Coach Strom at the end of the year, we lose, we don't go to the finals. There's emotions. There's 15 ladies that spent 9 months out of their life waking up at 6 a.m., trying to eat the right thing, working out 2 a days, going to study hall, doing all these things. And for them to be four of them to say, hey, it's over, your career is no longer, because what's the likelihood of them going, overseas professional? I mean, it could happen, but you talk about uplifting is when Coach Rom said, but you guys are moving on to better things. You're Cheyenne, you're getting a degree of, bachelor's degree. You're Ponca out of Oklahoma, you're getting a bachelor's degree in business admin. You're Oglala, South Dakota, you're getting a bachelor's degree in business. You're Navajo, you're from Winslow, Arizona, you're getting a degree in education. So the academic piece was huge, like knowing that there was four individuals leaving, but they were leaving to make a better place for people that in their respective communities. So that was a win. Although it was a loss, it was a win. And then, the academics, yes. And that's why we end up with so much talent and respectfully so. It's probably, when we talk about mindset, it might be a fixed mindset by Coach Strom. I get a lot of numbers because historically Native American students struggle in the classroom. So I don't recruit 10 and then four of them are academically ineligible. Now I have six and I'm in trouble. I recruit 20 and then figuring, but that didn't happen this year. We had a combined GPA of 3.3 plus. The ladies were committed to academic excellence and, you know, Indian humor, right? So everybody thanks the 4.0 students in the locker room for pulling that GPA up, and those are the ones that are below the 3.3. But collectively, there was no ineligible player in the second half of the semester because eligibility requires uh, in October you run an eligibility for NAIA, the 4-year level, which we are part of, and then the second semester there's another eligibility check. Not a single player in our program was academically ineligible. So again, I think that's the byproduct of the positive culture, the knowing that being a collegiate athlete is being a collegiate student athlete. So our study hall times and, our attention, even on the road, we would have, asset, you know, 2 to 3 hours of studying and doing things like that. And that's due to my coaching staff. I had an excellent coaching staff. Because you can't do it by yourself. I had two ladies, former Division I players, in collegiate programs, one Taryn Hart out of Yakima. And her season was cut short, or her career due to injury, but she shared that with the team, and I think it was inspirational. And then my associate head coach, he played 4-year basketball as well. So to have a coaching staff consisting of, you know, college athletes, former college athletes, helped build success, right? Success builds success. So therefore, our academics were an attribute to that success.
Wow. And as a team, I just a question that came to my mind. Where's the farthest place as a team you guys would go? Like, like so I could see you guys setting up study hall, wherever you go. Where's the farthest team that you guys play or tournament you've traveled to as
Do
the
you know
team?
where Seattle, Washington is?
Yes, I do.
Okay, last year we were in Seattle, Washington. Matter of fact, it made me value home, and home being the Evergreen State, the Pacific Northwest. I'm going on my 4th year. I took my team to Seattle last year, and thankful for the Muckleshoot tribe. They, I mean, rolled out the red carpet. They helped us with lodging, helped us with meals. We did a visit of their fish hatchery. And this is where I talk about home. So I had these Southwest and Midwest and, natives, and they're like, Coach, look at all these trees. They were like, this is great. And then, we took them to the Pacific Ocean, and it smells different. Can we touch the water? Can we, so we did those things. And yeah, so we've traveled to Seattle, Washington. We traveled to Boston. We've traveled to South Carolina. We've traveled to Kentucky. We've, traveled to Colorado, New Mexico. So yeah, we're centrally located. And again, Dominic, when I say we travel, we didn't travel like University of Washington or Western Washington, or we traveled with Coach Strom and his assistant coaches in the vans, or, pulling enough money together to fly, and respectively, we had funding sources supported by the institution, which were allotted travel money. But again, with 15 players, 3 coaches, the funds add up pretty quick. But yeah, we like to travel. And I think last year there was a team in our post-conference tournament that played more games in our home court than we played. That's how much
Wow.
we do.
Wow, that's a busy road schedule. That's part of the game too, is traveling, and it's really magnificent to see. And also, one of my questions I have for you is, what drew you specifically to Haskell, and what are your goals for this upcoming next season, pending the contract, of course?
What drew me to Haskell? So, um, I saw in our pre-meeting, they asked about, culture and, goals of that sort. And, I wasn't born and raised. I'm an enrolled Yakima tribal member with Quinault descent. I'm not a fisherman. I'm not a hunter. I don't sing. I don't dance. And I love my culture. My culture is the greatest thing, and I love to offer the culture of our collective team. But what I do know is I grew up in a household where I watched my father coach for 30 years. And he would say, if you have a gift, do you know what you do with it? And I say, yeah, you open it and you play. He's like, no, you give it. And so watching him do what he did made me realize that, hey, I have a gift and I want to give it. But who do I want to give it to? I want to give it to the Native American community. So after coaching I started out at White Swan High School alumni, coaching girls, had some success. We played in the Yakima Sun Dome, moved to Wapto boys varsity, little bigger. Had some success. We played in Tacoma Dome for state playoffs. Moved to Hermiston, Oregon, had some success. We went to the postseason, lost out to eventual Final Four Benson Tech team that was, D1 athletes. Then there was kind of a calling of sorts, and it was Yakima Nation Tribal School. My wife was anything I aspire to be as a coach. My wife is a Filipino lady. She's that's why we got the Indopino kids, but she's an aspiring administrator, and she said, "This school needs you." I'm like, Yakima Nation Tribal School, like, come on, I'm a big time coach. I was coaching 5A in Oregon. Why is the Yakima Nation Tribal? No, they need you in the classroom. And I was like, I don't have my teaching degree. Like, no, the superintendent said you're going to get your teaching degree in math and come and be our math teacher. So I started coaching at my own tribe, Yakima Nation Tribal School, and I saw the passion, the love, the value of the sport, and how it impacted not just players, but family members, communities. It brought us together. I mean, you've witnessed the Spokane Arena and all the tribes and things, and that looking up in the crowd and hearing the coastal drums when we were there, that was, I'll never forget that when, it was like the battle of the coastal drums. I think it might have been Tulalip and Nia Bay or somebody playing, and it was just like, and that's up. And then so, I drew more to the Native American, not res ball, but just helping on him. I went on to Yakima Valley College, recruited, a lot. It was a public institution, but recruited a lot of Native Americans. So then one of them, and she was from Nez Perce, and I happened to know her really well, said, "Hey, coach, here's your next job." And I'm not a Facebook Indian. I mean, I just by choice, I'm not very good at it. I don't do that. I don't. It's not that I don't promote it or like it. It's just I'm not very good at it. And I said, "What do you mean?" She's like, "It's on Facebook." I'm like, "Come on, I don't have." And we were actually in the van. It was COVID season. We were in the van on our way back from a game. She's like, "This is your next job, coach." Nay, typical native, right? And I was like, "Hey, what are you talking about?" She shows me the phone and it says Haskell. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Haskell Indian Nations University. Now, lo and behold, everything I knew about Haskell was, oh, it's the biggest party school for all the natives. So I started reading more into it. And long story short, women's basketball job, check. All Native American, check. 4-year institution, check. Accept the job position without my wife's condolences, check. I
Oh,
as soon as I received the offer, I was like, on cloud nine, so to speak. And it goes back to my father. He says, one day you're going to be a great college coach. And so, yep.
and wow, look where you're at now. You're having this interview. You got your Haskell your gear on. You're
Yeah, I
coaching
gotta
for them.
represent this. Yeah.
And how cool to see it come to fruition like that. And moving to Haskell. What is
Mhm.
your favorite thing about being in the town? Like, what do you like about I've never been to Lawrence, but what is your favorite thing about being there?
You've never been, but you're about to come next year. I'm going to send you an invitation on air November 15th, 16th, 17th. We're hosting a tournament in Lawrence, Kansas. And um, I enjoy Lawrence. It's home away from home. We went to Battle of Nations, and there was a time where where I could stand on a court and look 4 courts around me because it's a warehouse type thing, and I knew a Haskell student or former student on every court. So
Hmm.
the neat thing about Haskell in general is that you meet Native Americans throughout Indian country. And with that being said, that's one of the key things I talk to my ladies before we exit onto the hardwood, onto the court is like, a lot of people play for their high school or their community or their college, or, some people play for, their mascot or, their college pride and but every time we play for Indian country. So I'm talking, well, we play nationwide. I mean, for nationwide. So, that part of Haskell, that authentic richness that we represent, we just don't represent Lawrence, Kansas. We represent Indian country. And I really enjoy that. And as far as Lawrence, Kansas, we're that little school next to KU. I mean, literally KU has basically an open door policy for our women's basketball team with their practices, with their games. You know, they let us come in and watch practice. They let us go watch their games for free. They give us tickets. And yeah, just Lawrence, we're right here in the middle. We're centrally located. So if we want to get in on a weekend, 3-day weekend, go to Chicago, go to St. Louis, go to Oklahoma City, go to Colorado. I mean, you know, in the Northwest, oh, let's go down to California, or let's go here. Let's go here. We're centrally located, and it's just nice to be able to move about, you know, kind of freely sorts. But as far as Lawrence, the community, um, it's nice because I think I'm in a transition phase where um, respectfully, we all witness this as tribal communities where Haskell Indian Nations University is not being that college viewed for those native party college students. It's now being, hey, look, they're having some success. They're at the national tournament. They're doing well. There's, you know, respectively, I have to speak about my boys. I had one son, my first year, Brian Jr., who you know, his work ethic, his talent. He's got talent. He has a tattoo, you know, in memory of my father, and his talent is when he flexes that thing, it looks like two crosses. No, he's got pretty big arm. He's a work ethic dude, and he was like student of the year for Haskell our first year here. Like there, you know, 1,200 students, he was student of the year. So you know, he was immersed into the Haskell and made the team, played on the varsity team, and was selected. One student was selected as student of the year, and Brian received that. And my oldest son, Isaiah, you know, didn't make the team, came back a second time, made the JV, came back a third time, made the varsity, and he's going to be graduating with his bachelor's degree. And, you know, shout out Flyboy Customs. He does Air Force One customized shoes, Nike shoes. He doesn't actually, not just Air Force. Marjan Beauchamp wore his shoes a month ago and was
Dang.
featured on NBA kits for Adidas for the custom shoes that Isaiah customized for Marjan. And so Marjan lived with us for a short period. Then my last son, Bryce Strom, he's getting ready to get his bachelor's degree as well. And Bryce, they all have their talents. I don't know where they get it from, but Bryce is talented in music production. Bryce did it again, is his tag. And it, as Marjan said, his music production is played in NBA Coliseums. Marjan has heard it, you know, his music. And so they're all talented in their own way. And what's neat about it is they've established their own small community of friends here from Navajo, from, you know, Oklahoma descent, from South Dakota, from North Dakota. And so being here in Lawrence, it's just we've extended the Pacific Northwest native communities of Yakima and Quinault to now communities within Haskell Indian Nations University.
I gotta give all those guys a shout too. I mean, I believe Isaiah went and won gold with my cousins Harold and them
That is correct. Yes.
in Toronto. And I
Mm.
don't know if your others, was it just Isaiah that was, or were both
It
your
was just
sons?
as Isaiah. It was Isaiah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I remember actually my cousin was telling me about all that, and
Mm,
it's, you know, just a small world and how it all comes like
mm,
that.
mm.
And I believe I met your other son at Boom City. He was helping my cousin. We were actually moving X-Cow box together.
That's Brian. Yeah, he
Bryant,
probably tried
yeah.
to carry all boxes together. Yeah, that's Brian.
So
Yes.
yeah, he was probably flexing his muscles down there at Boom City too. But my last question for you, I know you just brought up Marjan, but I'm sure you have a, you know, knowledge of all these other native athletes in the country right now. Is there any native athletes to you that are standing out that you'd like to give a spotlight out to during this interview?
Yeah, just any Native American athlete that's making it success and whether it's sports or education or in life. You know, I've heard, you know, education school's not for everybody. There's different ways you could find success. You know, particularly staying with this interview and using basketball as a platform. You know, I was fortunate to talk with Jude Schimmel at the Battle of Nations, and we try to put individuals in front of our young ladies that have experienced success, but not only experienced success, but have hardship. I mean,
Hmm.
I share my hardships openly with my team. You know, I jokingly say I'd like to write a book, and there's a couple chapters that, my wife would love to tear out of the book. And, some dark times, some hard times, talking to Jude yesterday and her saying what what they saw me go through was all the success. What they didn't see me go through was the hardship, ready to leave, ready to quit, ready to give up, ready to move home. And she said, that's what I'd like the team to hear, that, and I think that's the truth because, kind of staying with, the success and some of those athletes is it's difficult because everybody I recruit is their kind of their best or the name on their respective reservation or settlement or community or whatever and so they come to Haskell and there's 15 people that wear that same, hey, I was all state, I was, all conference, I was all league, I was all, so that's difficult. So those that are making it and those that don't get the instant gratification of being in the spotlight. You talked about Isaiah going, you know, I talked to Isaiah because he's a little let down about playing time and things of that nature. I'm like, but you played in a 4-year program. Not many people, Native Americans, do that. I mean, matter of fact, if you want to Google, I think females is like 3% of Native American females, high school females, go on to play collegiate basketball, like less than 3%. So, um, as far as shout outs, anybody with Native American descendancy that is part of a college program, whether that's JUCO, um, D3, D2, D1, NAIA, I'd like to give them a shout out and tell them to keep going because, through it all, it's too easy to give up. And it goes back to that growth mindset, fixed mindset, native mindset. Historical trauma is real. And I like to bring that up to my athletes that historical trauma is real. It happened, but don't let it define us. Let it empower us and drive us forward. So to all those student athletes that are going on pursuing their degrees, I encourage them to do the same or to do it for their communities.
Yeah, yeah, community. It's the biggest, thing we have in our back corner all the time, no matter where you are. And well, that actually concludes what I have for you. Is there anything that I missed or anything that you'd like to plug that you have going on in your neck of the woods?
No, other than I am working with Marjan, and so maybe I'll be in contact with you. We are trying to do a Navi of sorts in Seattle, Washington, July, or June 25th through 28th. Marjan's wishes are to put together a great 32 team high school girls and 32 team high school boys with a championship game for each gender to be played in Climate Pledge. So we are working at that. So I may be contacting you and reaching out. It's definitely in the planning stages. I also work with nativefitness.org, based out of Kennewick, Washington, Tri-Cities, Washington. Part of who I am and what I'm about is a holistic approach to fitness. And OJ Fiander, who runs nativefitness.org, another good resource for yourself. He believes in holistic approach to fitness from infant to elder. When we say fitness, he reminds people it's not putting a dumbbell in your arm and putting 10 people on the basketball court and having them. He thinks fitness is having that elder and that infant in the same room, learning to cook, learning to bead, watching grandma or grandfather, fillet salmon or cut salmon. So we're working big on nativefitness.org, some things there. And other things I go on as my other friend runs Basketball Without Borders, an offset of the NBA Cares, and we're trying to put in immersion of language and basketball in communities in the summer with backpack giveaways, native lit giveaways, and immerse language and basketball together. So all coaching would be done in your respective language. So those are some things we're working on.